list at the bottom. I don't. Mike told me about.
Okay,
Yeah, there's five additional bills that are on Tim's. They're on both tapes.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
They're just at the
That's
bottom
good.
of my tape. And they're on.
Yeah.
Tim ran a separate tape because they came in. Five additional bills that are so weird when I log in.
Mr. Hewitt.
is that one for Sam?
Mhm.
Yeah, keep an eye out for those.
It's not always in here.
Thank you.
Chris, do you need a pen? Because I put that one out there because I somehow managed to.
Oh,
Can't
I
find the
left my
black
black one at the office, so yes, thank you.
Okay.
I'll use this.
Okay. I couldn't find the one that came in this pack, vanished. It's probably in my desk, probably fell out, but I had that in my car, so.
Yeah. Yes. What are those called?
They're paper mates?
Obviously, pilot.
Yeah. No, you gave it back to me last month. I think it fell out.
Oh, no. Oh, late fee.
Mhm.
Yeah, the late fee is an error that we paid the credit card bill late last month. Is that the credit card one?
Yeah.
Yep. And they had waived one other one previously, so they would not waive this one. So the other one they waived previously was when the post office took 27 days to get them the payment, which is why we now pay
Right.
online. We were a day late paying it online and they charged us the $39 late fee.
We track all that with mail and stuff, right? Just remembering from the school.
Do the meeting next week?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thursday, right?
Thursday. You will see too in the Pitney Bowes bill, there's a late fee on that. It was the email to Shirley's email address. And they had always mailed us a hard copy and they suddenly changed us and we're only emailing it. They had given us 3 months late charges and Tim got them to remove 2, but they wouldn't remove all. I'm not sure why they suddenly chose to stop mailing and chose to email the bills, but
Don't those out?
I am.
This one is out of sequence, but I'm gonna leave it. Maybe Tim had it a
Does it go
certain
in this
way.
folder?
They do.
it may have been in going through them, they got out of sequence. But
Are we missing some bills tonight?
there's no street lighting bills.
Okay.
Street lighting has,
Can we
because
keep them in order? if we-
I'm okay with waiting.
Okay, cool.
because Central Hudson did all the account number changes.
Yeah.
We did not get this month's street lighting bill.
Just seemed like it was a light stack, that's all.
The highway? No, the highway is pretty much about what it is.
You're just getting better, Adam.
That's it.
It was more over the summer because we had all the paving bills and all that, but
Mike, you want us to sign these 0 bills also, correct?
yes, please, just to acknowledge that you've seen them and that they're 0. That's why I put them in there, so you can see that the one he chooses to not take his fee, and the other one didn't have attendance. I was gonna ask you what flavor seltzer that was, Chris, but I see you're just using the bottle. I know that's not raspberry wine.
It's mostly seltzer and then a little bit of peach snapple.
Oh, nice.
Gonna say peach schnapps.
Like,
Brian used to joke about drinking during meetings, but I don't know if he was serious. Yeah.
I was just curious because it looked like a seltzer flavor I'd never seen.
Pizza party recently when that woman
What is
labeled
this,
every
30,
seltzer
51, and
all
30?
alphabetical.
oh,
It's very well.
those
First
are
2
the
bills?
first 2 bills.
Okay.
Yeah, that goes with there. Yes.
Here is the rest with the abstract.
Great.
And the other list. If you want to put them over when you finish,
He's good.
whenever you finish.
Okay, I'll let it build up a little.
Okay.
The one big one is there in the highway. We didn't think it was coming till next year and suddenly it showed up. The new truck we
truck.
ordered last year,
Hmm.
pickup truck.
I was over at the Ford dealer and they had a pretty full lot. I saw Bagnell has a full lot again.
This is Robert Green, where we ordered this from through the state contract, but they had told us we wouldn't see it till the spring. And then all of a sudden, that said, they called them and said, we're delivering tomorrow.
It's amazing. You think about this time last year, they were, taking the vehicles and putting them up close to the road to show you that they had a little bit of inventory, Good to see full lots again.
When did Rick become the chair?
No, because they're, aren't paid on a monthly stipend, so
Right.
they'll start as of October.
In October. Okay, yeah, I couldn't remember if it was September. or October.
He may have chaired, believe he chaired the workshop meeting in September, but because it's a chair is a monthly stipend.
Right,
so
right.
I asked myself the same question when I looked at it.
Just want you guys to know, my knee is in severe pain.
Mm.
So I might do more standing up in the meeting today, so I apologize in advance if it annoys
Anything
you.
you can put on it?
I've been wearing like a brace at work.
I got ice.
Oh,
Anything?
it's
Heat ice.
use and it's, yeah. I think I need to not work so much.
Winter's.
Yeah. And sitting makes it really stiff.
I think that built up a good amount for you, B.
All right, when you're ready. Just read until that. And then. There.
Do you want that sheet to check them off? Vince?
Yes, I do. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's in the folder. I corrected the total, but I didn't correct the one that's attached to the sheet you have is accurate.
Yeah,
There
okay,
were two that changed. There was one Napa.
I see it. And then-
Napa gave us, Napa charged us where the ticket gave us a credit. So we corrected that. The ticket that came was a credit for returning a battery poor, but on the invoice, they added it as a charge rather than a credit. So we corrected their invoice. This was Tabitha's first go around with doing vouchers. She did a very good job for her first.
Tabitha?
And our new second, well, as of tonight,
Yeah.
our new second deputy clerk. She's in a 3-week training period right now.
So she helps Tim with the vouchers?
No, she does
She
the
does the
highway.
highway.
Just the
Oh,
highway.
okay,
bill.
thanks.
Highway is highway. So it's the highway clerk.
Part town clerk, part highway secretary. Where we merged the two
I remember
positions in
now.
the week. Worked out very well.
Now, the highway numbers, theirs with voucher numbers.
What's that?
The DA fund numbers their vouchers sequentially.
Oh,
We do not, correct?
No.
And the reason I ask is because in the past, what I was by the comptroller, when you start your year, you start with 0001, with 5 zeros and a 1, and go forward from there and then track them.
well, this
So
system
this
of the
is-
vouchers is just a continuation of how Shirley had always done it. So
Yeah,
we can,
uh,
starting,
January,
Starting
because then
January,
you're
yeah.
running both,
Yeah. I
both
think
the
the highway
same.
does it just for their own organization.
That may be, but they're actually more accurate.
The general fund is also pre-entered into the computer, whereas the highway ones aren't. Because I get those presented to me either yesterday or today.
They get them on the abstract and then go from there. This abstract is an excellent idea.
The
We
printout that
have,
Tim
you,
does is
yes,
the exact
that's the
thing.
same thing.
Yeah.
That's what I look at.
Yeah.
I know. That makes it much easier than And this- Adam,
Yes.
want some?
She
He
should
signed
have
those
already.
already. He signed
Oh,
that.
you
Yeah,
did.
the-
You had
I'm
it.
the
That's
orange
right,
one.
There, okay.
Yeah.
That's
So
right, you
Did
did the
you do
orange.
highway yet, Eric?
Nope,
Okay.
No, I'll
So we
pass
got-
them
we
to
got
her
time.
we
when
got,
she's ready.
this still needs Adam and Chris.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's up the order on you, so.
No, that's right, you started with highway, with the
Okay,
orange
just
guy at the
Take
top
your
here.
time.
Syracuse orange. I think.
There you go.
Those for the Mets.
Let's go, Matt.
Well, that too, but I always think of the orange man, Syracuse orange.
First team in history to be in first place at the All-Star break and miss the playoffs.
Hmm.
Yeah. Only 120-year history, no big deal.
Supposed to be like a true Mets fan.
Yeah.
It's under your hat. Fresh file.
On the bottom. By the time we get done, we have all these beautiful colored dots on here too.
It reminds me, those pens that have the 4 different colors.
When you were in school, those were the best.
I got
wanted-
one one
Teacher had
Christmas, I think that had like 9 or
Yeah.
10, it was many colors. Maybe it was 8, I don't know.
My homework assignments were so colorful
Hmm.
when I had those.
Like it all the way around. Like big technology when I was in school.
Well, I remember getting a calculator for Christmas, and it was this big Radio Shack thing, and it added, subtracted, multiplied, and divided, and maybe percentage. And that was it, and it was like $40 or something, and it was like, it was a big deal.
So Eric, for the PSATs, we had to get him a calculator. And the calculator is like $120 because it has no internet functionality. So like to get one today that is like certified to be able to take in, that doesn't have anything, costs a fortune.
So they don't cheat.
So they don't cheat.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
I thought so.
You're paying for less,
Exactly.
pay more for less.
Yeah. But it's graphing calculator, but there's apps that do that, that are free right on his phone,
Yeah.
but that show your work.
Keep them honest.
I don't know
I
why.
bet there's a hefty resale market in those.
I
though.
just,
I probably should look to see if there was a
You
secondhand
use it
one.
twice,
Yeah, exactly.
then
Yeah.
pass it down to the next class taking PSATs. Save it for the SATs.
Yeah.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
I'm gonna steal those bills from you.
Those, you can't watch them.
Building up. No.
Okay.
Which one you think we get to seltzer, but it's a little boring, but I don't want too much sugar, so I just do this.
It does have just a little flavor.
And then combine with that raspberry and peach. Remember when Melissa was making those mocktails? Where it was with Shelley and everyone.
Oh,
she
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
mixing the
yeah,
drinks.
yeah.
Are you working on prepaid?
No,
No, there's only like 3 prepaids. There's no street lighting this month. Central Hudson hasn't totally changed over all the accounts, so we can get a recent bill yet.
you warned me.
I know what you did. That's as soon as I saw the cross.
I did it last month too. Oh,
It's all right.
My
I,
mind.
that's why I tried to give you, but
I know.
that's what happens. You get in a rhythm and you just do it. As soon as I heard the scratching, I knew
Oh.
it. Got it?
That she doesn't want to.
Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
He also warned me. She said, keep your eye out. And
All right. That's why they put erasers on pencils.
I believe you actually can.
I know I
but,
can, yeah.
But it's understood.
It's not.
'Cause you're not preparing it.
Right.
Correct.
And he's
Correct.
doing a duty. We're not.
Right, right.
You can hire your spouse.
Almost down.
Yeah, there's still another little pile over here though, guys.
Oh, there is, huh?
Oh, no, I got it. Never mind. Okay.
We have to sign something for highway, right? Like we
You've
signed
been
back
signing that sheet,
this,
yeah.
yeah, that's what I
If we
thought.
don't
Oh,
have,
okay.
we don't
I
have
was-
the same,
That's all right, it's
Gotcha.
okay, I just.
yeah, we don't
Sign
have
it
the
too.
same sheet because they're not pre-entered into the computer.
Okay.
I'll leave you space.
This is our abstract.
Give it to you so you can keep it with you. I'll pass these over. Almost like playing mahjong, pass left, pass right.
I don't-
That's fancy.
Is that the highway
Like
one?
We used to have paper insurance contracts. I'd have to sign each one twice.
Yeah.
And we'd sell a couple hundred policies a week. And I'd just sit there for half a day just signing my name. So
When I worked for the census, I had to sign every census form. No, my signature became what it's become, which is almost a straight line. I say it in my head as they sign it.
it was Arnold Palmer believed that every time he signed his name, it should be absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
Ben Hogan used to practice his name 3 times before he'd write it out for somebody. Yeah.
Then they can authenticate easier.
I also signed the baseballs, I think they were. baseball players, like
Yeah.
Babe Ruth. And they all look the same, even on that spherical object, they really did a good job.
like that show Pawn Stars where they bring in the signature authentication
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
It's the little thing and looks at the
I
live.
always love when they say, would you mind if I bring you in the next one?
Yeah.
Maybe once I saw him be like, no, I don't have time.
Those guys aren't even allowed to be in the store anymore when it's open because of contractual obligations.
They
The
have
store
a,
actually exists.
Yeah.
Jamie and I've been there twice to the store, but they had that where they film is actually a studio at this point. It's almost an exact replica of the store. But
Oh, because they used to shut the show down,
Store
store down
down.
when they filmed, and all those people wandered around the back there and just exits.
yeah. So now they,
I don't know if they're still shooting new episodes. So I think they're just showing.
I don't know, I got rid of cable and YouTube TV is like $50 a month and you can watch almost everything except the History Channel. So yeah, that's like the only thing that I noticed that I'm missing, but you can still watch football and you can still watch Jeopardy and everything else.
You subscribe to it?
But you can watch it on every device. So you can watch it on your phone, you can watch it on your tablet, kids can watch it.
Yeah.
You can have 5 devices hooked up to it for $50 a month.
That's not bad.
No. So you get rid of whatever the couple $100 was for. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's funny today when you get like a new cell phone, they're like, here's a year of Netflix or here's 2 years of Hulu. You signed up for something like abstract and ended up with like HBO Max for a year.
My favorite show is on HBO Max.
What's that?
Succession.
Good one?
Oh, it's so good.
Is it about politics?
It's about power.
Uh-huh.
We're not signing this one. We signed the front blue one, but not the back one.
Oh, you
That's
sign is the
the,
blue one.
that's the,
Okay.
That's the one that comes from the vendor.
I know I see something that says sign. I'm conditioned at this point. to-
No, Just the blue ones.
What's the name of the show again?
Succession. It's
Succession.
about like a media empire run by a family. It's
Yeah.
loosely based.
Oh, I think I saw the first couple episodes of that.
And it's a family and
So the one they think the father's dead in the beginning.
Yeah.
I saw the
Yeah.
first couple episodes of that.
it comes out like once a week, so I get to like.
Yeah.
Like
Yellowstone.
old TV
If you don't mind me asking, where'd you go for lunch in Saratoga?
You went to Brothers.
Oh, nice. Went to the Druthers in Schenectady now. Oh, yeah, that's good. Jamie and I are going to a wedding next week up there, and it's like an all weekend affair, and so looking for good spots. That might do it.
That's Mike's favorite. and it's Megan's favorite.
There you go.
Worked out well.
Is that the original one?
I'm not sure. There's a third one too.
Yeah.
We have sound going out.
Mhm.
I got a message from someone that said no sound.
You weren't saying anything for quite some time.
I know that, but we have been talking about this.
Oh.
This was just a minute or two ago.
It's on a delay though, right?
Yeah.
Delayed a little bit,
Okay.
so. Better check and see if, can you hear me now?
That's that's exactly what I'm gonna type.
There you go.
Please stop talking.
I know we do because when I first turned it on, I heard what I was saying when it
Okay, that's
started.
good.
So
Yeah, I did too, but I just wondered what happened. The answer is yes.
Sound?
Having wheat fields is good too, if you want something a little fancy.
Wheatfield.
Wheatfield is very good.
What's that? It sounds like bread.
No, it's a nice
Or
restaurant.
pasta. Every time we go up, we kind of stumble around and then you go into places and they're booked out, then you go into places that, you finally find someplace, but I'd like to be preemptive and ask somebody.
And if you want to go basic as can be, you can always go to the diet, whatever it is. What's it called, Mid-Con stops, Compton's?
Yeah.
Compton's, I think.
Yeah.
They have great grilled cheese.
There you go.
Breakfast there many times. Cheaper than the Marriott. is better.
That's another place. Professor Memorial, they were my two favorite when I worked up there.
You worked up there?
Yeah, when I got out of work, my first job was in Saratoga.
Really.
But I missed home, so we came back here.
There you go. One of the most beautiful towns in the world. It
It
really
is,
is.
but you can't see any mountains from Saratoga. You're very close, but you
Yeah.
can't see them. I like that.
Actually do insurance work for one of the councilmen of the town of Saratoga. He was telling me about the stuff they got going on up there as far as planning and historic districts and everything else.
Mhm.
Sounds like a ton.
It was also one of the first towns in the United States to do urban renewal. They knocked down a lot of historic buildings.
Yes, they did.
Built
Really?
new ones that looked like old buildings.
Is that true?
Well, at least they made them look like a building.
The post office is something special. That's an old building, all right.
There's a few left, but they smartened up and worked on saving them, but that whole Main Street stretch, very little is new, is old.
Really?
That's true. Even when I was there, there's a whole bunch there now that was not there when I was there. It's expanded greatly.
But it looks like it's been there for forever.
Yep.
But-
Yes.
But it's
Yeah, but
all,
there's a lot.
Yep. There's a lot of articles
A lot
about
of the hotels are still, there, the old hotels are
though
really old hotels.
Jamie and I stayed at the Delphi and they did the $1 zillion renovation to make that place look old fashioned and beautiful and things like that. But that's funny. I just assumed it was an old town.
But the Adelphi though is old.
It is.
Yeah, that's
The hotel is, but
an
the,
original that they just,
that's one they said.
yeah.
it's spectacular. But there's a lot of,
Those visit you, they say it's haunted. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what they say.
not the night I was there. It's coming at you.
Oh, nice. I'm on my last one.
Are you? Look at us. Synchronized bill signing. Or you picked it at exactly the halfway mark is what it is.
With that flip.
Well, got this. and you can have the- Get the register tape. And is there prepaid or those are in there?
There's no.
No,
You're right.
there were three prepaid. There should be a sheet to sign for
On
Yeah.
Penda?
that. Yeah, did you sign the prepaid?
I did.
There's no electric,
That's why there's only a couple.
no street lighting this month.
I didn't see Snake.
Didn't want to interrupt.
There you go. Big stuff going on.
You want us to wait for this, or you want us to go into it? Can I have the total there for?
This one?
Yeah. Actually, I need the prepaid total. Oh, this is the prepaid.
I didn't
The
sign
other-
that one yet.
Yeah. I need the two together. I just need to total the two, the prepaid and then the other sheet, which is at the bottom. Yeah. in there. Yep. So those two together. Tape. Okay, good evening, everybody. Call the workshop meeting portion of the meeting to order. Would you stand for the pledge to the flag? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which is one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. clerk to do the roll call, please.
Supervisor Baden,
Here.
Councilwoman Allen,
Here.
Councilwoman Hogan Depew. Here. Councilman Hewitt,
Here.
Councilman Todd.
Here.
Okay. I'd ask for a motion to authorize payment of the October 2021 vouchers. Highway in the amount of $9,740.91. General fund in the amount of $58,199.65.
Make that motion.
A second.
We usually do that at this meeting, correct? But
I've added it back. We do it at this meeting and I stopped doing it because I thought that the signature was enough. And at that accounting class that we just took, said a resolution should be done. Signatures are not enough, so that's why I'm adding the resolution back on the agenda.
okay. Why isn't it on the agenda?
Why isn't it on the agenda?
Yeah, why isn't the resolution
I
on
just
the agenda?
didn't put it on the agenda, but I'm asking for a motion. We've signed the bills tonight. I'm asking for a motion to pay the bills. Checks will be cut tomorrow. Something I learned at the class last week that was given.
Same thing I learned, but my question is, it should be an agenda so the public knows that we're doing that now.
Will be on the agenda moving forward.
Thank you.
And in the past, I was told that the signature was enough at the resolution, but apparently I was told incorrectly, so that's fine.
That was my impression. The signatures were enough.
Yep, well, the comptroller's class last week, somebody asked the question, are signatures enough? And he said, no, the board should always do a resolution, which is
I
why,
mean, it doesn't hurt. That's right.
so we have both. He actually said, you're not required to sign them. All you need to do is the
Is
resolution.
the
But
resolution.
we've been signing them for years, so.
Hmm.
now we're
I'm
doing
not
both.
sure
Hey,
when
doing
they,
both is extra.
I'm not sure when they changed the rule, but there used to be a need of 3 signatures on the bills.
Right, and they changed it to 2 at
Yes.
some point, right?
I don't know, no,
But-
3.
But everyone
Had
used
to
to
be a
always do
majority.
it.
You have to be a.
I'm already at the board.
But
has to
they're,
sign.
according to the comptroller's training class
It's fine.
last
Got the
week,
signatures and-
signatures are not mandatory. But the resolution is whether you sign them or not.
Okay.
So that was a new thing that I learned last week, and the reason I stopped doing the resolution originally is because we used to always do one, and then I had been told
Uh-huh.
through the state, actually,
Right,
by a different person, not the person teaching that class, that the signatures were all you needed. So that's why I stopped doing
It certainly doesn't hurt. that
because too often would make a resolution and then we would catch a penny mistake or something and we'd have to redo the resolution. So, and I don't know the amount until this afternoon, so that's part of why. Yeah, but I will put a placeholder in for future with the amount unnamed until I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained. Okay, town clerk was unable to attend this evening. She did email all of you that she would like to make this appointment, and I am making it on her behalf. Town clerk is appointing second deputy town clerk effective October 31st, 2021, and the name is Tabitha Ziba. Our second deputy clerk's, current second deputy clerk's last day is this Friday. And October 31st is the start of our next payroll period, so Tabitha has been in training the last 3 weeks. She did the highway vouchers for us this week, did a very nice job. And Kate would like to make that official appointment, and she did email everybody to let you know that.
And the pay is staying the same right now?
Pay is the same rate.
Okay, that
There's
we,
no
that we
change.
assigned earlier. Okay,
Right, there's no change in the rate of pay for the position, so.
no resolution.
No resolution, because this is an appointment by the town clerk. I just wanted this to be on record at a meeting. So that's why she emailed everybody. Next resolution, adoption of local law 4 of 2021, zoning map.
Did we vote on that last one?
There is no vote.
Okay.
It's an appointment. Recommended resolution, Town of Rochester Board adopts local law 4 of 2021 as presented October 7, 2021. Such local law amending the zoning map of the Town of Rochester to reflect that the property contained in Ulster County tax map known as SBL 76-4-4.1 and 76-4-4.2, 1819 Burn Road, Cohasset, New York, located in the low-density residential R2 zoning district, shall be rezoned to be located in the residential agricultural AR3 zoning district. Negative declaration pursuant to New York State Environmental Quality Review has been prepared and adopted October 7, 2021, determining the local law will result in no significant adverse impacts on the environment, and therefore an environmental impact statement need not be prepared. Do I have that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Question.
Yep. Yes,
We received notice of the tenter being removed.
the tender, it is no longer being advertised on the tender.
Correct.
Correct.
So does that mean just the fact that it's not being advertised, that it's now totally inactive? Just the fact that it's not advertised doesn't necessarily mean that the specific tenting structure and things does not exist and cannot be used.
Well, I go
And
back to what
therefore that-
Mary Lou said, this is a zoning change, not a use. There's nothing to stop a private resident from having a tent on their property. I
I do understand
I
that.
could, I did a visit, a site visit, and I had a casual conversation with our code enforcement officer. Because we said that we wanted to reach out to him if there were any violations. It looks very unused. I did look at the tent site. It doesn't look like anyone has been using it. It's, and I talked to them about it. It's very like moss growing on
Didn't he
things.
say he was gonna keep it up for his?
Yeah, they're
family?
keeping it up,
Kids, or
The
whatever,
tent
yeah.
Did say that,
is
but
there,
that's-
but it doesn't look like anyone has been utilizing it as a tent site. And Jerry said he does not believe it's in use and that there are other people in town who are breaking the code and that are bigger problems too. He said that wasn't one that he thought was
So he doesn't
being
see
used.
violations there.
right.
Right.
And then also he said that he doesn't think that there are any violations of the property. I had a casual conversation. We just talked about it. So he didn't
Right.
go out and do, I don't think he specifically went out looking for them, but.
Well, this was sent to me by the owner of the property after our last meeting, so that's why I shared it with
Yeah.
everybody.
Mhm.
Can that be attached to this law? Can it become part of the law to say
No,
that?
or, no, it's, I mean, the zoning law, what's allowed is allowed, what's not allowed is not allowed, and right now you guys don't allow things like tenters, so,
Right.
so it's not, you can't attach someone's email to a law.
Well, no, what I'm saying is as proof that it's been adhered to, what we asked for.
I think it's in the record.
That's what I'm saying. Can't we keep it in the record with this?
Well,
with
it's in
this
the
law?
record. Mike just
In the
sent
verbal
it to
record.
you when he just said that we
As-
got that. So it's in the record now, but it's not
Mary Lou
part of the
stated
law.
very clearly last meeting that you don't put conditions on a zoning.
Right.
I
zoning
know
change,
that,
so,
but I'm just asking for the completion of the file, that it all be filed together.
Yeah, but it doesn't, get filed with the Secretary of State. Someone's
No,
email.
I know that. I know that. The
So
law
you just want
itself.
it as part of the record
As
of this
part of the
discussion,
record.
which it is.
Part of the record, it's part of the minutes. right now,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
So motion second. Are there any other questions or discussion?
I've actually thought about this a lot because I take the zoning changes very seriously. And I did do a site visit. I walked the entire property. One of the things I would say is that it's not, doesn't look like a traditional farm property in the sense that it's not a big open field. There's slopes on parts of it. But there is a lot of water and there are, they took me to all the areas where they'd like to grow things. And I think what they're looking for in this zoning change is the potential to have an agricultural based life on the property and to have the potential that district allows. But there isn't an agricultural operation there at this time. And they, I think, would like to be able to have that, what we say about the AR3 is what they think about their property. So I did think about this a lot because I know a lot of the things they've talked about, you can do in R2. But I think it's all about the lifetime of the property itself and how we see this large parcel fitting in. I don't know if anyone else has any thoughts, but we do very clearly want to encourage agriculture. I would say that the traditional farm parcels are harder and harder and harder to come by. So it is something for us to think about. Other types of agriculture, such as perennials and nut trees and fruit trees. This is the type of thing that they're talking about, and this property is appropriate for that type of agriculture.
If you don't mind me asking, in your opinion, though, do you have to have farm-like activities in order to already in place in order to be considered, or should we consider it for the zoning change?
I think so. I would say, I know that no, I think the zoning change is more about the property itself and what the property could be and how we view the property. A lot of parcels in AR3 are not farm properties. So not every property that's zoned AR3 is a farm property. Now I own an R2 property that is a farm because I turned it into one. But I would say though, and this is something that I am aware of, in order to get in the agricultural district, the county agricultural district, which I think is the thing that actually gives you a lot more potential with a property, they do like to see that there is an operation happening.
The county ag district, the county committee that makes the recommendation to the county legislature and to the state is made up of a number of, it's a mixture. It's a number of farmers, it's government officials, but it's primarily farmers. And the last several years, they have been looking at properties that are zoned residential. I'll give a real example. In another town, there was a horse farm on a residential property that was totally surrounded by residential. And they did not recommend it to be included in the ag district, even though it was being used as a horse farm, because of it was zoned residential and the area totally surrounding it was residential. They did not feel that. So in this case, we have a property that is zoned residential that the owner would like to make it agricultural. It does, although the creek intersects it, it is agricultural on the other side of the creek. It clearly was a farming area at one time. I believe it fits. Why it was made R2 originally is we followed the roads, and anything in those areas that were smaller parcels were made R2. This already is a larger parcel. This is a 40-acre some parcel. So-
Right, and if you think about it the other way, so someone could come to us with a 40-acre parcel and they want to be able to subdivide it into a residential area. But maybe it's zoned R5 or something, say.
Mhm.
There's no houses there yet, but they're wanting to follow the law. So that person would come to us seeking. And then we have to consider if it fits in with a comprehensive plan and if the property itself fits the description. And in this case, it's farm versus residential. So it's, they want to have not a traditional vegetable operation, but they want to be able to grow, spend, their lifetime building something there. So I think I don't know. I think it's sort of like the planning board said, the impact of this is, they could get something started now, but I think that's not the question that they're asking us.
So let me ask you a question though. I mean, if by your example with the horse farm,
Mhm.
does the run out in between? Because again, they're backed up to all kinds of farms, but on that side of the river,
But they're also backed up to the rail trail, and it's not the proximity. So maybe not too hung up in my specific example, but what I was trying to relay is in order to get referred ahead to Albany, to the legislature, and then to Albany, to be in the ag district, they're looking very carefully at how properties are zoned.
But I like your example because that's something I support. Builders and all those large farms across the river, make that part of a contiguous patch.
right? But this on the other side of the river would be a
But
standalone.
it's
in
not-
the- in
Well,
the-
It would be, but
Access-wise,
it
it would
wouldn't,
be.
because it's the same soil types, it's the same,
Okay.
and it's not like there's houses on the other side of it. There's the rail trail, and then there's the creek.
Right.
And a lot
So-
of the rail trail has high slopes, but that spot flattened out and has alluvial soils that flood.
Gotcha. I'm thinking again more about the neighborhood it's in.
Well, and what
I-
we're doing is we're changing it from 2-acre zoning to 3-acre zoning. They could still you can do residential anywhere in the town.
Gotcha.
What this is actually doing is limiting their uses of what they can and can't do.
Well, there are some uses that are allowed in AR3 that are connected to agriculture if you have an agricultural operation.
Right.
Now, because they're not in the ag district,
Yeah.
they wouldn't meet that definition until they were included in that.
And to be clear, the ag district is not our
It's not
local
our-
ag district.
It's a
State,
state one.
Right. But I,
Ulster County Agricultural District number 3.
when I said that I've thought about this like a lot, that is a concern that I have, is it being access wise in the middle of a residential
Yeah.
area. So I do think that is the potential impact. At this time, the owner of this property, which again, the zoning change would stay with the property, they don't want to have animal agriculture. They're looking for agricultural types that would not have that negative impact in that way.
They already have established walnut trees
Yeah,
and things. That's
yeah.
what they're looking.
Yeah, they don't want to have
And they want to
animals, which are,
expand those
yeah,
walnut trees. They
animals are
wanna do other-
I'd say the biggest
Mhm.
thing that can be difficult in that way.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Not, we'll call the vote. All in favor?
Uh,
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. We will notify the state of the zoning change, and we will notify all the appropriate local boards. With this just being 2 properties, I'm not planning on spending the now to redo the zoning map for 2 properties.
Because we're probably gonna be,
Because we've got review of the ZR stuff coming up, but we will notify them. So, as there is we could probably create a new PDF one for the general code site. I probably can work with that, but the printing cost and the laminating cost of all the copies.
Is there a way just to make a note in something and have it carry through?
Absolutely. And we will notify code enforcement, planning
That's
board,
fine.
assessor, everybody will be notified of these
Like a
two
red note
properties
when they
changed.
open to that page.
Yeah, yeah.
Just something on the.
But
page.
the printed copies, which many offices have them, it's pretty costly to reprint those every time we change one or two parcels, so.
Save a zillion bucks with a red pen.
Well, in this case, it'll be a green
pen.
marker. We're changing yellow to green.
Yeah.
That's pretty easy, actually. Green Sharpie.
Yeah. Yellow and blue.
Okay. Discussion on the First American Rescue Plan. Aaron, I'm going to turn it over to you about the IP, the cameras and stuff.
Yeah, so we discussed this at our last workshop meeting. I had gotten, we'd gotten a quote for the camera and monitor. And then we got an additional quote for the little mini PC that could be mounted on the wall. And that was for $400, just like we said.
Did they send you a quote for that? Because they didn't email me a quote.
Oh,
for
I'm
that
sorry.
one.
I thought you got it.
Or if they did, I missed it.
It was exactly what they said.
Okay.
So the total then, let me bring it up. Sorry, I'm like a little,
If you want, you could email it to me and I could put it on for a resolution for next.
okay,
To authorize the purchase.
sure, I would like to do that.
Yeah.
I would like to ask us to do that. I'm getting a little worn out of attending
Understood.
all the
Understood.
planning board meetings. They're long. But I would like that, but it will be in the ballpark $2,349.89. And it's very clear that we could use the American Relief Act funds for this. And I actually found, I have all of that, the which section that they say that's under.
Aaron, can you give the figure again? 2,000?
It's, I think, I don't have the other quote up in front of me, but the one for the camera system is $1,949.89.
And they did correct the error because when you did the math in the original one,
Yes.
it didn't add up. And
Yeah.
there was a mistake. It was something they had put in the original quote that
That's
they
why I
removed.
wondered what the final
Yeah.
total really
And
was.
then I think this is the one for the mini PC.
That's on the wall. That's the extra.
Yeah,
That's the.
and this
extra.
is the one that wasn't included. Oh, they do have this digital thing and it's expired, but it was $400 for that one. And then they confirmed the installation is just their,
That's part of the installation is part of our annual contract.
Yeah. so they'll just install it. The room itself will be mic'd. So it'll be around. It won't be a microphone in the middle.
So we're at 2349.89.
Yeah.
We'll have the big TV on the wall. We'll be able to
Yes.
see maps. We'll be able to see
Yeah.
when Mike brings up
It'll-
resolutions.
I think it'll be pretty easy. There'll still be a Zoom meeting that'll be initiated over there. The chair of whatever meeting could be a host and join in on their computer and share anything on that screen that they wanted the public to see. I'm excited about being able to share things up on a bigger screen like that.
But I think we should all at some point get computers.
It's
We're
in the
gonna do
budget.
this.
We have it in the budget.
Tablets.
Oh, the tablets,
Tablets,
yeah.
yes.
Agreed.
Sounds good.
But I'm sorry, the link, all the links have expired, so I can't access those quotes because they don't
Okay.
send
Do
me.
you want to
PDF.
reach back out to Fish? and
Yeah.
just Get them to send us new quotes?
Yeah,
and new
just,
links,
I
and,
have the original, I have this one. I just don't have a PDF of the,
And we'll
mini
put it all
PC.
together and get it in as one. Maybe they can put it all together as one new quote.
Yeah.
The whole package. And then we can go ahead and order.
yes. And then hopefully it'll be quick, but they said that they can't guarantee that the parts will come in
Yep.
in a timely manner, but in terms of their end, they're supposed to be available to us 8 to 4 Monday
soon
through
as we
Friday.
get it,
So
they'll
as soon as they
schedule.
get the equipment, they're here. So,
And they continue to resolve our problems. Just this last week, we had a couple issues and contacted them and they worked to resolving them pretty quickly, so.
That's assuming it's not sitting on a truck somewhere stuck.
yeah,
Yeah,
right.
On a,
Who knows?
yeah,
In the ocean.
in the
On a
ocean,
boat.
on a boat.
Anybody have any questions on that? Okay. Moving on to the premium pay. Tim and I are working on getting a monthly reporting of hours worked from March 2020 through, we'll have to pick an end date right now.
Where
I'm
is this
going
on the
through-
agenda?
It's in the discussion, American Rescue Plan
Okay,
project
it's part of
update.
that. Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Now,
Okay.
Councilman Supervisor
Yes,
Bates.
okay.
Mary Lou, I had asked if you would do some research, if you want to sort of relay what you have found about the premium pay.
The important things are we can go back to January 20th of 2020. I think you guys had mentioned though that you wanted to start that like in March when we changed procedures here.
March 8th is when we got the notice.
It is for essential workers who worked like at site. If any hours that you work from home, they don't qualify under the plan. So if somebody was here a couple days a week and home the rest of the time, they could be paid for the premium for the days that they were here. Anything else? It's
a retroactive one-time pay for the whole time.
So what it is it's not a one-time pay, it's a premium bonus. We're allowed under the American Rescue Plan law to pay a premium of up to $13 an hour.
So you have to discuss.
But you also
what
have
that
to, it also
premium
has to, can't exceed something with the, there is a,
Nobody's can exceed $25,000 for the,
yeah, well, it was based off of a statistic, and I unfortunately don't remember the statistic, something about the average.
right, there, yes, there's
Yeah.
two things, but no event 25,000.
We're not talking anywhere near that much per person, obviously. What I'd like to do is calculate the number of hours by month. Have this board, I will give you an example. Woodstock did theirs from April 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021. I'm not sure why they picked those dates. Their supervisor shared with the other supervisors the resolution they did. They did pay their highway superintendent and town clerk.
And that's kind of an unclear thing.
New York
Like, talk to
State
me
has
about-
said that you might not be able to because those are elected positions and it's included in your budget. So you have no ability to change the salary, and this premium pay could be construed. I've asked Mary Lou to research that a little
So
bit more.
I'm gonna see if I can get anything from the controller's office.
It's not that we don't want to, but if New York
Right, I don't
doesn't
think
allow
it's,
it, then we.
right, I don't think it's disallowed by the act itself because it says workers. It doesn't say employees. It says workers, and you can even use it to pay if you had to have a third party. If you had to contract out to somebody to help with something, you can even give them a premium. But Association of Towns is of the opinion that it wouldn't apply to elected officials because of budgeting. But of course, this is extra, something that wasn't, available in the budget. So I'm gonna reach out to the comptroller's office and see if they have any guidance on that. I'd imagine we won't be the first town to call them. And, and whether, even if you're allowed to, it's up to you folks whether you want to do that.
Right.
Right.
So what I plan to do is next Thursday, have a report to you on a month-by-month basis, not by name, but just how many hours of employees. I believe we have, it was a discussion, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe we're talking that we should do all people, all employees who were working in person during that time frame. So what Tim and I will have to do is go through and remove anybody who had time off that they were still paid for, like vacation time, sick time, any of that, because it is clear that this premium is for when they were present.
It all goes, to they put their health at risk. So it's for the safety. If they were at home, they weren't putting themselves at risk to form an essential function.
But I'd like to move it quickly forward, so by next Thursday, I hope to have that report total for you. I just wanted to report back to you where we stood. Mary Lou and I've continued to have conversations about it. So it's more just keeping you up to speed on with this being voucher week, Tim was a little preoccupied with that. So he was able to run the reports, but those are gross hours, not net hours. So what we have to do is be able to go through, and it's going to be, the only way to do it is to go through each week's payroll and pull it back out, time not in present. So it's going to be a little time consuming, but I hope to have that for you by next week. Then once we know that number, we can decide what we think the hourly stipend should be, the premium, and then we go from there.
Gotcha.
But I would like to get these cut before the end of November, so I'm hoping that I can have a full report for you next week.
Any, on the rescue plan, any movement on the broadband? As far as any communication with them whatsoever?
Not with Spectrum.
Yeah.
They quite simply are not answering. I have talked more with the county. And the Supervisors Association had dialogue about it. There are a number of towns, like the town of Ulster, that is pretty well built out. We did at our last meeting a couple of weeks ago, created a subcommittee to talk about the broadband. So far, it's myself and Denning and Warsing, and that's it. I'm hoping some more supervisors decide they want to join in. And the county is looking at spending some of their money for wireless broadband communication, which quite frankly, and I'm told there was a meeting last night, one of the legislative committees, and this subject came up, and it was basically the legislators were told that wireless is not going to work in communities like Rochester and Shandaken and Warsing, because where it works, those areas are already covered. It's the areas that aren't covered, wireless broadband is not going to function because of the valleys and the mountains. And so the only real way to do it is broadband, or if you do what a couple people in Warsing did on their own, Terry Houck was telling me about it. It's the new system with Elon Musk, where the satellite, it's a straight up shot, but it's a pricey install. Once it's set up, it's fairly inexpensive, but it's a pricey install of the original equipment. So
Just wondering, because as we're starting to dig into our rescue plan budget, trying to weigh out everything. I mean, obviously,
absolutely,
take good care of the essential employees,
Yeah.
but it'd be good to know what's.
well,
on the other
beyond
side.
that, remember, we have half the money so far. The other half will arrive next year. And we're not going to be doing the employees next year. This is going to be a one-shot deal. So I think, we're still going to have 500,000 available for broadband.
Gotcha.
I'm also continuing to wait to see what the county legislature is going to do. And all these infrastructure projects, the county executive included them in his budget. So when they adopt their budget in December, that will give us a better answer. Their budget can be adopted later than ours. Ours has to be adopted by November 20th. Theirs is a later process.
Gotcha.
So once they sort of finish their discussions, that will tell us more if the county is going to work more on the broadband. And then the comptroller is pushing hard for that to not, so each town isn't chasing the same pot of money.
Ah,
That's her
gotcha.
concern.
That makes sense.
And, you know, 8 or 10 supervisors going to Spectrum versus one supervisor, you get a little more,
I have a question on that.
yes.
Are they not covered under the Public Service Commission out of Albany?
No.
They're not?
Who?
Spectrum is not covered?
No, Spectrum is. covered
Spectrum
by-
is
yes,
for TV, not
For television, not for broadband.
Broadband is not considered
Correct.
a utility.
Correct.
Yes.
However, where I'm going with this is they will not contact you, you said.
Mhm.
My thought was push through the Public Service Commission that they will not contact you.
It's been tried, it's been tried many times. This, quite frankly, the Public Service Commission Board doesn't care. And I'm gonna be blunt about that. They don't care. They canceled Spectrum's ability to serve New York State a few years back and then proceeded to negotiate with them and gave them everything back again. I have spoken with,
I'm thinking more in terms of your group that you're forming,
oh,
that might have a little
It may.
more clout
it may,
to
it
write
may.
to them,
we can try.
to turn in a complaint.
But in previous, they,
Yeah, now a complaint about cable is one thing.
yeah,
Lynn and I would have to-
Non-communication, not getting back to people, not, you know,
Right, but they don't have any jurisdiction over
broadband.
broadband, unfortunately. And
they have
What?
no idea what you're calling them about, correct?
Who, Spectrum?
Yes,
Oh, no, I've left them lengthy voicemails. I've sent emails.
but that's what I'm saying. Each time you call, they can't possibly know that you're calling for broadband and not pick up. I'm saying.
No, I'm leaving messages
Yeah.
with the persons, on my contacts.
for broadband.
Yes, yes, I'm telling them why, yeah. So,
What if, I know honesty is the best policy, but to get him to call you back, maybe just say, this is Mike Baden, Supervisor, Town of Rochester, I need to speak to you.
and we try, and then out of the blue, I'll get a phone call, and, you know, and then another 3 months will go by, and he'll call me back like we just had the conversation yesterday. I'm not the only supervisor who's having.
No,
these
that's what I'm
issues.
saying.
Yeah, getting in contact with them. I don't mean just about broadband in general.
Yeah.
There is one town, and I don't remember which, is in the process of trying to renegotiate their cable contract, because their lease or their franchise agreement is done, and they can't get them to answer. And I remember
There's more than one town.
Carl
in
went
that
through the same
situation.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an interesting business plan. Just not calling back.
Well, when you have the market
Monopoly.
a
Yeah.
monopoly, which is
Yeah.
essentially what they have, and they fall back every time when you talk to them. The first words out of their mouth are, we have a contract for cable TV, not broadband. That's something extra we offer. But they also know that wired broadband, it's cost prohibitive for anybody else to even try to do it. So, but the county legislators also, it was clear to me when it was relayed that one legislator said last night in the meeting, why don't the towns use their franchise money? $120,000 a year sounds like a lot of money, but when they're quoting, Spectrum's quoting 50 and 60 and $70,000
I know, they get,
for one hookup.
I know, they get to call.
120 doesn't go very far.
It's like the company
So-
store you buy from
Yeah.
it, they set the price.
Right.
So
Right.
we are more than a little bit at their mercy. And I'm just trying to get them to talk, let alone, so. They also, they're required to build out so many miles per contract. And they're also required by their deal to offer cable to any households. Because these households that don't have cable also don't have broadband. I
Yes, I
mean,
know.
don't have broadband, also don't have cable. So they're required, if there's 25 households within a certain mileage range, it's a mile, I
A
believe.
mile, it's a mile.
They have to offer it. And, you know,
I thought that got reduced though to 20 or something. It went down at one
It,
point.
it might be 20.
It might
No,
have
I
been
think they were
reduced.
giving us 20, but it was 25.
I believe the law is
So,
25
right,
and they
so
were
they
saying
told us,
20.
oh, we were being very
Yeah.
good to you. We gave it to you at 20.
But where I was headed is when I asked them about build out, what they sent me was a spreadsheet of a list of new customers that they've signed on since the last agreement. But many of those customers aren't new service areas. They're just people who signed
Bought a
on.
house, bought a same house from somebody who left.
No, what they are is, it's not that, but it's somebody maybe who, I'll use myself as an example. I had DirecTV, and when I got an HD TV, I had to go to a different satellite with DirecTV. I didn't have line of sight. So the installer said to me, you probably just need to go to Spectrum. My name was on the list as a new customer. They didn't suddenly add it to my road. It was already on my road, but I was using DirecTV. But they were counting me as a
New hookup.
new hookup. So that, my point is they're not talking about new miles of connection. They're just, we asked them for new connection. What they're reporting back to us is, these are our new customers by household.
But they're not extensions.
Yeah, but they're not extensions. So they're not open and honest in the dialogue. And sadly, we're too far away from the end of our contract to really hold it to the fire. I believe we're 3 or 4 years away from the end of our franchise agreement. But we continue, and I continue to talk with the county executive staff and the planning director staff, and now the comptroller has gotten very involved in this conversation as well. So I'm hoping, and Congressman Delgado's office is also very much concerned about this as well. And there may be some additional infrastructure money coming if, I believe there is a bill in Washington now specifically based on infrastructure, not the American Rescue Plan, but at this time, we don't know if or when or what it will actually be. But that would cover more things like broadband, bridges, roads. So I will continue to call them on a very regular basis and continue to lobby hard. So. Is the board, a few meetings ago, we shared the solid waste littering law, Local 5 of 2021. I did not send you new copies of it because everybody already had them. Is the board prepared to have more conversation? Do you want to, this was more feedback. If the board wants, I would prepare a resolution for next week to, not to schedule it for public hearing next week, but for in December. I just wanted feedback if you wanted to have more conversation about it.
I've read parts of it, but I have not read
Okay,
the document as a whole.
we'll wait, and when everybody is prepared, and Mary Lou, if you could take a peek at it and see if there's anything in there that, because admittedly, some of it is a 20-year-old solid waste
Right.
law that probably there's maybe some things in there that have changed. So, okay. Next, the referendum vote, December 7th. I'm gonna turn it over to Mary Lou about the phase 1 of the environmental.
We have to hire one of the services to perform the phase 1. Right now,
These are in your packet.
I call my film, got something from Steve's email, I have something from Barton or Judas. I also contacted Chazen, who said, they, as well as some other people, said, we are just so busy with these phase 1s right now that we're taking some of them 4 to 6 weeks.
Mhm.
We're supposed to have any environmental objections within 60 days of the contract. The Friday would, I think that's the 21st of November, but that's the Sunday. So we asked that this be done by the 19th. We have 2 quotes. One is from CT Mail for 1,900, and the other is from Barton and Judas for 3,200. Basically the same, but with CT Mail, they have a lot of information that they want us to provide them with to get started, but we don't have that information, and I don't even know that the seller would, chain of title, that's, people get title reports now, and we can do that, but it doesn't, it's not like the olden days when you got a package like this that told you everyone who owned it for the last 60 years. So they can both have it done within the time period. But I think for starting, CT Mail needs some information that I don't know if they'll be able to get to them.
We have.
They're both very reputable in this area.
Just re-explain for everyone sitting here why this has to be done prior to the referendum.
Because the seller wanted, because typically you close earlier, but we're having the referendum, kind of wanted as a good faith for us to start our work now, rather than starting everything after the referendum, which if it passed would put the closing off for many, many months. So he has agreed that should the referendum fail, he would reimburse us for whatever we paid for the phase 1.
Okay, so what has been purported is true then. The seller is pushing the time frame of this.
Well, it was in our contract,
Yeah,
because he sat here and asked that we do that, because I think he was a little nervous about taking it off the market.
Well, and what we said is we didn't want to pay for something.
Right, because
That's
it
right.
may
Yeah.
not,
Which is why he said, if it fails, if the referendum fails, I'll reimburse the town up to $4,000, and both of these are less than $4,000.
yes, they are.
right,
So if the referendum fails, we will be reimbursed by him. If the referendum does not, these are
Then it's your
costs that
expense.
we would have to do anyway. So,
right, but that's
I know
something we
that, but I
negotiated.
wanted it
Yep.
explained.
But we were very specific about in agreeing to do this before the referendum, that he would be responsible for the cost of it
Correct.
afterward. And that's why the contract is the way it is.
So I just want to point out also with the difference in price, this is a professional services contract. So we didn't have to get more than one, but we want, we really didn't know what different places were charging. So you can give it to either of these. You don't have to give it to the lowest bidder. My only concern with CT Mail, again, a very good firm. I've worked with them a lot. I've worked with Barton and Judas a lot, both really reputable, really good firms to work with. I'm just concerned that CT Mail may actually take longer just because of the preliminary information that they need.
But is that a bad thing?
Well, if it takes us past our time to have if we have to do part of the research ourselves and get that information to them, and then it takes them 3 weeks after that, they won't have it to us by the 19th. If there's an environmental problem, we have to bring up our objections by then before
Right.
they'd have it to us.
The other thing too is you're saying that there's things with CT Mail that even given the amount of time, we wouldn't be able to produce.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know. It depends on what the seller may have.
And with
I
this,
doubt he would have all of that information.
the phase 1 environmental results, we would be able to share those with the public. Is that,
I'd have to go back and look at the contract.
okay,
I don't know that we would. I think there may be something in the contract that says we won't share those, because if for some reason we said, no, we're not doing it, he still has to market it to someone else.
Hmm.
So we may have a confidentiality thing in the contract. I think we
So
do.
once again, what's happening here is we're doing this, I know we're getting reimbursed. but we're expending taxpayer dollars on a project that hasn't been approved by them, but we're not allowed to tell them
Tell them what.
the results.
That's something that was negotiated and discussed, you know, that's it. So that was, you know, something
So the one thing though is that we did budget in the fall of 2020 in for 2021 professional services. That's
Yes.
that's what we're doing here. Again, if this comes back and again, there's an oil spill on the property where there used to be something. Again, we have the option of getting out of the contract, but we wouldn't give that information openly because again, this, you know,
Right.
the owner would still have to market this other way,
yes,
you know, but it's our out clause.
which is standard and due diligence
Yeah.
in commercial contracts. And it's a commercial.
Yeah, it's not keeping anything from the public. It's more making sure that we have an out, and if there's something that is not agreeable, that the owner can figure out what to do with it.
Right.
Right.
But we don't have to
And then
plaster it all
if
over.
we go forward with it, you know, things are good, and we go forward with the contract, then you can release
And
the
if,
reports.
and
It's
if
just if we
something-
withdraw.
and if something comes out of this, we could potentially, if November 19th, we get a report, we have an out. Correct me if I'm wrong, we have an out, we could cancel the referendum and cancel the contract or renegotiate the contract.
The big thing though is, you know, there's a difference in price. With the one that's $1,900, is there a possibility that we could get all the work done that we need to do on our end and get it all done by the 19th? Or does it endanger it?
Well, but then they don't start theirs until after us, until they have the information from us.
Is it?
You could probably pay someone else to get that
Yeah, but then we're over here anyway. So,
information.
What's the terms like for, I don't have the contract in front of me. How is it phrased on our end to get this done? Because we had that.
60 days from the date of the contract. That's how it's phrased. And then after that, you know, we can, just like Mike said, we can renegotiate, we can withdraw. If there's you know, if there's a problem, if it's fine environmentally, then we can't withdraw on that, then our basis to withdraw, if anything, would be the referendum failing, obviously.
Right.
Then it's just canceled. At some point, we have to do the inspection, the engineering inspection. You know, if that turns out that, boy, we're gonna have to put a lot of money into this building to get things to where we need them.
Is that,
That's a cause to,
is that before the referendum as well?
It could be.
if you want it to be, it can be, but in the contract, it's after the referendum.
Right.
That we don't have to do it till after the referendum. Now, I wasn't at the open house or whatever it was, but I heard that people were concerned about that. If you want to take the risk and spend the money,
That's what I'm
Before the
saying.
referendum?
So,
There is no reimbursement for that.
there's no reimbursement for that, but if you wanted to
in
do that, to have that information
In
for the public, you
relation-
certainly could.
to that, there's two more documents in front of you. Which after our meeting, the public was asking for this. I reached out to a commercial inspector who has provided a quote to us. You see the second week of November. So we could potentially have that. Again, as Mary Lou said, that would be a cost that's not reimbursable. He has quoted a price of $2,000.
Can I ask
Okay.
in our mail why there was such a degree of information on this company's background. When in the
Which
past,
companies?
I believe it's Andreessen,
He chose to provide that.
okay?
I asked him for a quote. I sent you the emails that he sent me.
When I know in the past, we have never had such documentation, and I'm happy to have this
Yeah, I
documentation.
think that's just what he does. I've
That's
what
seen
he
him do
does.
other things. He sends
Because in the past, when we
package.
used the appraisal company never stated its principals, who was involved in it. In the appraisal company, I mean, who owned it, who was involved. And I think this is a much better way to do
Well,
business.
I forwarded what I received.
This is a much better way to do
And I-
business.
I specifically forwarded you the email. I didn't cut and paste it.
No,
I
no.
forwarded you the email I
I'm
received.
saying,
Yep.
the fact that he did that.
Well, that's how he chooses to operate. The other is a quote for preliminary opinion of probable construction cost. That was also provided. And that, so if the board would like to go out and get further quotes, I'm happy to, if you want to discuss those. I'm trying to find, I was going to read you the section in the contract here.
No, but the bottom line is that we need to have all of these. I mean, it's not
Right,
optional.
the question, we did not, we heard from the public that they were asking for it.
But it's the right thing to do. In my
Yeah.
personal opinion.
If the board would like, then we could contract with both of these and the phase one.
Is this building's assessment reimbursable, 780?
Nope,
No,
the only one that's
The only thing
reimbursable is the phase
was
one.
the phase one. Because we said we can't just.
Now,
spend
bear
this kind
in
of money.
mind that if the referendum passes and we go to the inspection and there's problems, again, we have an out in the contract if there's problems with the inspection. So we're not obligated. The only reason that I even made some inquiries is that it was what we heard at that meeting. So to me, there are three separate sort of discussions. I mean, the phase one,
Mhm.
we're obligated to do.
Which one?
We, Mary Lou and I secured these quotes. As she said, she reached out to several. I will tell you, the CT Mail one came to me because they're the ones who do our landfill closure, which we just paid the bill. They do our the report of the monitoring of it. We're required for 30 years to monitor our landfill closure, and once a year they come out. When the gentleman called to schedule it with me, he said, "Hey, I saw in the newspaper about skate time. Do you need an environmental review?" And I said, "Well, coincidentally, yes, we do." And he then the next day sent me this quote. He approached me, I didn't approach him. So
it sounds like the Barton and
No, Judas.
Lejudas fits better with our
Time.
timeline.
And they are
And-
doing, although it costs more, they're doing more.
Yeah, and again, if we can't get ourselves, we're gonna have to pay somebody to do it anyway. So it'd probably be near potentially more, than that. So might as well just get it done right.
And when we spent $3,500 on taxpayer money recently on fireworks that exploded all in one night, this is a significant expense that I think is important.
I don't think that's comparing apples to oranges. That
It's
isn't
money,
even
it's
making,
taxpayer money.
it is taxpayer money, but reasoning behind it's a little different.
Mhm.
well, it's an expense that we will incur either now or later. If it fails, we'll be reimbursed, and it didn't cost the taxpayers anything. So And again, if it comes back that there are issues, we can cancel the referendum, we can renegotiate the contract. There's several options of what we can do.
But if it comes, remember, this is phase one where they look at records. So they're going to be looking at records to see if there's any federal liens or
Right.
state liens and
Phase
things like
two
that.
is
But it
if there's a
may be
problem.
they go, hey, we discovered this was a gas station. I mean, we know it wasn't because
Yeah,
we all
been
live here. But if they discover there was some use, we might have to go to a phase two, which would be on us, which would be further testing. Because it could be, this may just show there's a possibility of contamination, and we might have to go further to do a phase two, to see if there actually is.
This chain of title that you've spoken of, Mary Lou, it's not available through the real property or
Well, that's,
the
we have,
county.
they're not gonna, you have to research it.
That's what I meant, but it is available.
Yeah, if somebody, but we'd have to pay somebody to go and do that and do the records for an abstract of the title. We'd have to hire a title company to do
In
that.
here at the town level, since it's been, we know it goes back to Mr. Bernardo's company.
Right.
The town wouldn't have any records on this?
I have no idea.
I'm asking.
And I don't know if they
Question
have
out there.
anything
That's
past the
that's one
flood.
piece of the whole.
But it
thing.
goes
I know.
back for forever, right? I mean, it goes back before whatever building was there.
It goes back to when it was a tavern.
There you go. So, but you think of the chain of somebody,
And I'm gonna do it by tomorrow for them to have
yeah.
No.
their 15 minutes. to
So,
do.
okay, then maybe I need to have the difference explained in what CT Mail would do. They're saying they're not pulling the records.
They're
Barton
saying,
and Lejudas is pulling the records.
yes, Barton and Lejudas is gonna go and look at all the records. CT Mail asked that we provide them
Yes,
with that.
that's
Yes,
what I'm saying.
yes,
So
that
that's
is the
kinda-
difference.
And Barton and Lejudas can, as you said, complete it in the time frame.
Yes,
So that's,
yes.
again, not really a great comparison.
I mean, that's kind of the
But is
important
that,
thing.
is that the only, that's not the only difference, right?
I mean, there's standards that are set forth for doing a phase one.
No, but I'm asking between the two quotes. Is securing the title the only difference between the two for the,
You know what, they don't write them in exactly the same way, and it's a scientific thing, and, you know, that's what stood out to me.
I'm just curious how to balance it then. We don't. How do you put it on a scale and make them equal?
Right, and I don't really know that you can, so the real question may be, which one can really get to us?
well, let's walk through it. They'll both do a site reconnaissance. I'm looking at CT Mail at the bottom of page 1, and I'm looking at number 2 for Barton and Lejudas.
Both do. They both say a scope of services.
So they both,
Yeah.
The interview with the site representative, the interview is number 3 on Barton and Lejudas.
Can we just pause a sec? I'm gonna try to make a little
She's gonna
chart.
do a T chart. I know. what she's gonna do.
I'm working through CT Mail and seeing if the comparable is on Barton and Lejudas.
What was the second one?
The
The
interview, which is number 3. Review of municipal property records provided by local government. And Barton and Lejudas is number 1. That is the review. And they also say if a freedom of information request will be submitted to the state environmental agencies,
Mhm.
which whereas CT Mail is saying a review of the databases, which is not the same as a freedom of information request. The report is the same. So essentially, the only difference is providing the property records. Now, Barton and Judas, though, let's look at time frame. Because CT Mail says 15 business days. And Barton and Judas
By
by
November 9th.
November 19th, which is
Which
15
is the date
business
that we
days
gave them.
from Monday.
Mary Lou, the boilerplate on this is all the same,
Yeah,
the contract.
yeah. Yes.
So given that, it sounds like if our assessor can provide that information, and I can find that out tomorrow, if he can or can't. And if he can't, we'll have to get it.
So
When do they need to know that
Yeah.
we want this in order for them
We
to
need to,
complete it?
we have to do, we have to do a resolution tonight. So,
I mean, I suppose you could
Do a conditional.
do
resolution?
it, right, a conditional on whether that you hire CT Mail, if the assessor,
I mean, I'm sure the assessor has the property tax records of that property and can provide them.
But we could do a conditional resolution. if-
right, and say that if he can't provide them, that we hire Barton and Judas, you can do that. Yeah,
There you go.
that's fine,
Can you help craft the resolution?
sure.
You ready?
Whereas the town must conduct a phase one environmental site assessment for property located at 5164 Route 209 in accordance with contract to purchase same. And whereas the town has received a quote from CT Mail in the amount of $1,900, or was it 18?
19.
$1,900, and has received a quote from Barton and Judas in the amount of $3,200. Be it resolved that the town shall enter into an agreement with CT Mail to provide a phase one environmental site assessment for $1,900, conditioned upon the ability of the,
Local government,
yeah, I was gonna say, how we're gonna do it.
it says local here,
Local government.
local government to provide municipal property records. Is how they worded here.
Right, well, I mean, that's kind of very general. Obviously, you can provide municipal property records.
Yeah. But I
Contingent
think
upon-
general is okay, because we don't know
Okay,
exactly what
contingent
they need.
upon the town's ability to provide records requested by CT Mail no later than Monday. What's Monday's date? November 1st.
November 1st.
Okay. And be it further resolved that in the event the town cannot provide such records to CT Mail by Monday, November 1st, the town will enter into a contract with Barton and Judas for the phase one environmental site assessment for the amount of $3,200. Does that sound like what you were looking for?
Can we add something to that?
Maybe.
Back in the day, back in the sentence when you said in contract to purchase same, can we say this cost to be offset by seller as per purchase contract?
Well, it's not to be offset by him unless the referendum fails. We have the contract that says that, so I don't think it needs,
You don't want to
I mean-
re-say it or something?
I guess we could put. This
Cost.
resolution is made with the understanding that should the
Just say
referendum for
subject to the
purchase of
conditions
property.
the contract.
Well,
contract is public record. So,
but we're just concerned about the reimbursement with this. I don't want to
okay.
Yeah,
make
that's
the
all I
entire
want to put
contract
in
a
there.
part of this.
No, I don't
So
want
where
to
was I?
reproduce,
Sorry.
I
reinvent
don't know
the
if you
wheel.
wrote it down, or you're just getting it on the tape. Okay, resolution is made with the understanding
That
that
should,
should the public referendum or the purchase of the property fail, the town will be reimbursed by Stevens, is it Apcom? Oh, no, it's not. It's
Accordion Ventures.
Accordion
LLC.
LLC, right. Accordion Ventures LLC in accordance with the provision of the contract. How's that?
That's good.
Pretty good job.
That way it's,
Okay. Do I have a motion? Or would somebody make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Just a second. Any further discussion?
can I edit, can I make a?
it's discussion, you can make it.
No, the part, it's very small, that the town should supply the property records, it said.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Where's my thing? Oh my goodness, sorry. This next line says review of historical information documents. Can we also say property records and other such information?
I think we put as requested.
Oh, as requested. Oh, okay, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
we put as
So
requested.
no amendment.
So. Let's call a roll call vote. please.
Councilwoman Allen,
I,
Councilwoman Hogan Pugh,
This has to be done, correct? This is a must,
Well,
or we are in violation of the contract?
no, you're not in violation of the contract, but if you don't do it and there's an environmental problem, you're stuck with it.
We may lose their out. So it's a must for us to have the out.
Or we get a property that's got a,
The question is,
Indian
do you
Burial
want to
Ground
know
or
if it's an environmentally sound property? If you want to know it's an environmentally sound property, you do this. If not, you take a risk that that it passes, you buy the property and there's something there.
and in our contract,
If it fails, we can.
if
end the
it fails,
contract.
we
We
can
have-
exit the contract. Whereas if we don't do this in the time frame in the contract, then we don't get that.
Right. It's it's part of your due diligence. And it's up to you whether you want to do that.
No. It's not that I want the town to be responsible, I just,
Chris?
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
and Councilman Adams,
hi,
and Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Okay. I will find out from this after tomorrow, and I will clarify with CPL exactly what it is. that
And I'll check with the, sellers in terms of
Okay.
what they might have to
Okay.
have.
Does the board want to have any conversation on these other two thoughts? Certainly, we're not required to do them until afterward. Even if the referendum does pass, certainly the inspection is also another part of the process that would give us an out. And then the preliminary opinion of probable construction costs was at a request from the residents.
I feel really strongly about that one because we heard very overwhelmingly that the public did not want to vote on something, that they would welcome more information about those costs. And the price for this is $780.
plus,
If we want an event, it says an additional fee of $840 is offered in the event an on-site meeting and review of the building is requested by the town.
But just to get them in there to say, this is, I think that's the nice thing about, what's the term for the labor cost?
Prevailing. wage.
Yes, since we know prevailing wage, we know cost, we can get a very accurate estimate, so, and then again, we can weigh that out between possible new property, and people even ask for, what is some office trailers cost? We can bring that information to the
This will
public.
be brought to the public.
Yeah, all of it.
This
is,
Yes.
absolutely can
Yeah.
be brought to the public.
Yes, this is,
Yeah,
we're
that's-
only doing this for the, not only, but
No.
we're doing this now in response to the public.
But that way we can, we can bring a series, you had the nice board there. Hey, suggestions. These are other alternatives. So, like I said, we'll be able to answer a number of questions with this.
The 780 is for the report.
Correct.
840 would be, am I correct in this assumption, if they were on site at the next meeting?
No,
For
an
the public.
on-site meeting and review of the building, so that's if they go to the building.
Well, how could they
That's what I
not
think you
go
wanted
to
to
the
do that.
building?
Yeah, it seems like a presentation that they would
The
do.
scope of the services
It's for a virtual.
is a virtual town hall with town board members. Then, if available, they're gonna review documentation for the original construction. They're gonna give a preliminary opinion of probable cost. This is not a based on the building itself. It's based on the scope, the size of the building, what's projected. This is not again based on that particular building. This is a theoretical based on a building that size.
So we're gonna give them $780 and they're not gonna go to look at our building.
Then we don't have to.
Does that make sense? Does it
Well,
make
it-
sense
I'm just
to
telling you,
virtually look? I would,
I'm bringing to you what
But-
they are,
But
the
the thing
public
is that,
asked for something real. This
Yeah.
is virtual.
then
But-
we can do the other 840 and they
So you
will.
can do the.
but I would say this, that, for a basis, I mean, numbers have been thrown all over the place from virtually nothing to $11 million. Yeah, for 700 and whatever dollars, that should give us a very good sense of what a generic build out would cost. It should give us a starting place. I would think I would think that would give us some confidence that we're heading in the right direction. What if it does come back at $20 million? I mean,
My own personal feeling is I think the inspection is much more money well spent right now. because
He's at
that
least
would be-
gonna go look at it.
Well, he's gonna more than go look at it.
Yeah.
So. and This gentleman is one of the most qualified
Oh, yeah.
inspectors. Mary Lou and I both thought of the same person.
And this report would be public.
This
Yes.
report would be public.
So you're looking at a difference in reality. It's not 780. Because this guy's gonna do an onsite, these guys are gonna
Right.
do.
Well,
a
but they're
virtual.
two
No, they're two
different,
different
very
things.
different
They're
things.
two
This is
different-
not an inspection of the building. This is you have 10,000 square feet or you have 30,000 square feet. This is how it can be built out. And this is a cost estimate of what it will cost to build it out. This is about taking that building and putting it anywhere, not necessarily in the town of Rochester.
That's what
It can be
CT
anywhere.
mail is.
That's
Yes,
what email.
yes.
They're two
Then
different,
this isn't,
right, but they're
real.
not, it's not a one or the other. We
Where's
can
the
do both,
inspection?
we could do none, we could do one, we could do the other.
CT mails is not reality then. It's just
CT
to
mail,
build out
they're
to a
going
building.
to give you a preliminary opinion of what the probable construction cost would be
Are going to be.
for a building like this. If you want them to come out and do a site visit to look at the actual building, which makes sense to me,
Excuse me,
it's gonna
please.
be
Can
another
you not have a
800,
meeting there? Thank you.
it's gonna be another $840 if you want them to come look right at this building.
Well, I thought
Which makes
that's what the
sense.
public was asking for, was for someone to look at that building, the one we were sitting in the evening.
That's what the
Well,
inspection.
That's
here.
what this one is. But you
says in-
just said that these were not the same.
Right, now,
No,
Mike,
They
Right,
are
but
the
the one
same.
where he's going to, with
The-
CTNL, they're going to give us a preliminary opinion of the probable construction cost. They can do it on for $780. But if you want to also meet them at the building so they can review the building itself,
Mhm.
this particular building.
Right.
Then it's gonna be another
840.
$840.
No, I understand. I
So
understand.
But they get copies of all the construction drawings and the floor plan, and they're professional, and they can do an overhead view of what would be laid out.
But it's not an inspection,
It's
so,
not an inspection.
but the inspection,
cost
we
of
would have,
building
we have to
Right.
do. We have to do an inspection if the referendum passes, we
Correct.
can do the inspection before. So what is on the table now is, should we do the inspection before the referendum vote so that the public has access to that, which
Mhm.
I think is great.
And
This
we,
is,
and we have access too,
another
because if,
report.
again, just like the phase one environmental.
Right.
The inspection comes back, excuse me, with significant problems, we can revisit.
but then this is a completely separate thing that
This is figuring out
just
how,
supposed to give
how
us
much
a
to build,
ballpark
right,
of what the cost would be to, for the net, if it passed, what would it cost for the second
Yeah.
part?
so I'm gonna make a motion that the town board schedules or contracts with Andreessen Associates for the inspection proposal dated October 19, 2021.
I'll second.
Are there any discussion on that?
This is a physical from Andreessen, physical inspection
Yes.
of the building.
Yes.
and the engineering of it.
Yeah.
and,
Yes.
Right, the system.
Just like a home inspection, yep.
Right, but way more detailed because it's.
Not
Right.
required at this time, but somewhat requested by the public.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes,
And again, I think for the due diligence, again, a lot of questions were raised about a 10-year-old building, is it physically sound? Is there potential of problems? This is going to answer every single question. Nice thing about a report like this is it's in black and white. You can see, hey, these are things that need to be fixed right away. But it's our building condition survey just for this building,
So
essentially.
why
And more
did,
detail.
we had the appraisal then for the cost, the value of the building.
What appraisals are. the
I
value.
know that.
The
I'm
value.
making this clear to the public. I don't need to be educated in the English language. Got it pretty good.
Ready further discussion? Let's for a roll call vote on this, please.
Councilwoman Now, Councilwoman Hagan Pugh,
No, not at this time.
Councilman Hewitt.
Aye.
Councilman Abbott.
Aye.
And Supervisor Bader.
If somebody else would like to make a motion on the other one, I will tell you, I'll be not. Yes, but if somebody else would care to. it's your choice. The last is our preliminary budget. And thank you very much, Mary Lou.
Thank you, Mary Lou.
Good to see
We,
you. all.
Budget.
As exciting as this.
It's
sounds
been a
like
long
gonna be,
time. Discussing it. I did fill in the information with the additional health insurance as was requested. I emailed it to everybody. I did not print out a copy for everybody for this evening because I didn't know if there'd be further changes, but I emailed it all to you last night. And so I'm asking that we agree that this is the preliminary budget to be forwarded to the town clerk for November 4th public hearing.
In its entirety, without any questions.
We had a lot of questions.
We had a
the last
lot of
few
questions.
weeks.
The board met. 3
I have
meetings.
questions also, and I am a board member, and I am going to voice those, even though I could not be here. And I watched on Zoom, and it
Okay.
is now my turn to have questions, because that is the process.
Preliminary is not initial, tentative. We are discussing at this time tentative and has been discussed as tentative. Until we vote on this and until the public and I have to say what I'm going to say, it can't go forward. And I realize that I'm only one vote, but I'll stand to keep it from going forward if I'm not allowed to ask my questions. Now, I went through this with the Zoom meeting, line by line, just like I would have as I sat here. To date, I only found 2 things that I did not agree with.
Okay,
Mike, nobody in their right mind at this time would take a 22, 23, however many % raise it is, and ask this town to give you more money. People cannot afford it, and that's the way to knock this budget down even farther. Tim is a good man, but Tim come into office and got a mid-year increase. And now giving him more, and you're looking to put in a payroll company.
he did
Now,
not, let me correct, he did not get a mid-year increase. He came in at the rate of pay of his person he replaced.
so he came in at the $40,470.
He came in at $20 an hour.
Is that $40,470? Because the job went from $34,550 to $40,470. So he did get that increase mid-year.
No, he did not. He came in at the same rate of pay that his predecessor was making.
He's 40 hours a week.
It's 40 hours a month.
So that's 41,600.
Bear in mind, we made a budget amendment earlier in the year for the person he replaced.
Correct, of $5,290.
But the 40,470
Is that not?
maybe there was an error. Bear in mind, we're approving a budget, not salaries right now.
The budget and salaries are all part and parcel of the
Agreed.
budget.
Agreed.
If you're giving increases at that level and only giving your worker bees 3.2% increase,
We gave the code enforcement,
I'm aware who got hired.
Okay.
I'm not bringing that up.
okay,
Don't, because you're just gonna make it worse. I'm aware of where some extra money went, very aware. I listened to it and I went back and
and
forth.
we went by department head requests.
Yes, you did. However,
Okay,
So,
you taking or giving the supervisor an increase of 22 or 23% as it comes out. Not. Absolutely not. The people, the taxpayers of this town can't afford it. You could lower this by giving yourself less a raise. As well as Tim. He got a raise or he came into this money. I would say
he did
give
not
it
get
to,
a raise. He started at making $20 an hour. He's making exactly what he made since he started.
all right.
This is a.
I can see
$1
giving
an
him a
hour.
3.2% increase and yourself as well, and this town board as well. And for the 5th year in a row, I will say this. I don't care if I get a raise as a town board member. I've never wanted a raise. I've always been told, well, take it. And tonight I signed 2 pieces of paper here that said people didn't want to take the money. Correct? There were 2 bills in there who said that planning.
No, there
board
was
is a-
one person who didn't attend.
Who didn't attend, but one who has not been taking money.
Correct.
I was told 4 years ago, that this money could be taken. And I asked, can I give the increment of the raise back? And I was told, no, I had to give it all back or nothing.
I don't
So,
know who told you that because you can make a donation at any time. So
well,
I can't
anyway,
answer for what you were told by somebody else.
the point of fact is, after COVID, I don't think any of us should take a raise. Any of us. That's an opinion, but I do not think that anyone should take a 22% raise.
And you said you had.
That's it, the
So
two, those were my
those were
two,
the two?
those were the two.
Okay. Anybody else have anything else to say?
Can anyone here at this table say that they have ever, ever, ever in their work career gotten a 22% raise, not based on sales, not based, and you're a private entity, you pay yourself,
This is my thing though about
raise the money.
about Tim's specific position is that if we don't want
Let's
to,
not name names.
I'm
please.
sorry, you're right.
That's
Let's talk
About the
position.
confidential secretary
Right,
is most other towns, there's at least two people that do that job. So we could split it up to private secretary and pay it less, but we'd have to bring somebody else in as.
why?
Because it's also a bookkeeper.
Shirley did it all those years and everyone else did it all those years.
The job has gotten bigger. The job has gotten different. The job is expanded. And you're absolutely right. If it's too big, we don't want to pay one person, we can pay
In
two
private
people.
industry, the person doing what that person is doing now would be doing all those jobs. They'd be doing payables, receivables, payroll, insurance, and everything else.
He's
and
also
they-
doing purchasing. He's also.
He
doing-
gets a stipend. for
No, he does
purchasing.
not. We took it
that
out. We
You
it
took out the 880 as well.
We did. We did.
But he's still getting more than a 3.2% raise.
And so were many other employees. Town of Olive is paying their bookkeeper $30 an hour.
I don't care. They
I'm
get
just-
subsidized by the city of New York. Their monies are subsidized by the city of New York. You cannot compare them to us.
I'm just letting you know what other towns are paying.
Well, then don't choose Olive because that's a poor choice.
Okay.
Because that is a fact that,
I'm over that. Let's finish on
I don't know what that was, but anyway. You can't use Olive as an example. Their monies are subsidized from the city. They can pay as much as they want and still get some reimbursement from the city.
And we can.
You are taking from the taxpayers in this town 22% when a lot of your people are on retirement and stuck.
So I would point out that this is to take it to public hearing and the taxpayers can come talk at public hearing.
And they won't. That's why we sit here, the four of us sit here, is to protect those taxpayers.
No, the five of us.
The five of us do,
We're all
but we are
town
now discussing your raise, so I'm trying to be fair.
I would say this though about the supervisor's position. For a very long time, it was considered a part-time position. That's far from the truth now. And if you look into private industry, and which was your point, any person charged with managing 30 to 50 employees, a $4.5 million budget and $1 billion worth of assets is worth more than $700 a week. That's a fact. And like I said,
Stay in the town and not be someplace else working.
It's not full time.
Not full-time.
It
It's
is
never
more than a
been
full-time
adopted
job.
by this town board or any other person in this town. There has never been an adoption of such a thing to say it's full-time. It is still considered a part-time job.
then we would have to hire other people to do the other components of the job at a full-time rate and with health insurance. It is going to be significantly more expensive if you want a full-time budget officer, if you want a full-time, all the other duties and responsibilities. We do a lot
You're
here,
speaking from an outside entity.
but you keep bringing up the outside entities and all of a sudden I can't.
You can. Of
Okay.
course you can.
But you can't pay somebody 35 grand to work 100 hours a week and manage $1 billion in assets. That doesn't make any sense. The guy, the school superintendent who manages something even small, a smaller, an equal type budget makes $400,000 a year. I manage something that's half the size of this, and I make multiples of this. Like I said, the public service doesn't mean you have to be impoverished either.
It doesn't mean you have to get wealthy either.
Who gets wealthy on 40 grand? That's the
don't.
median
That's the
income in
whole-
the town of Ulster.
The universal
That's
basic
correct.
income in Ulster County went to people who are 42,000 and below.
I know our
Because that's the poverty line.
supervisor almost qualifies for food stamps. You know?
I don't think so.
I
But anyway.
don't
I don't think so.
know.
There's too many assets there. But anyway, no, I just do not believe that this should go this way. I do not believe we should be giving a 22% raise to anybody. Anybody.
That
It's been said, it's just like, it's always been a part-time position. And now we
You're
are
right.
saying it's full-time?
Well, you can see how hard Mike works.
Yeah.
It's pretty full-time.
Well, we're also assigning it to the position and not the person.
that is true.
I heard that, the records, that's true. How can you? You've been here 4 years. Kate's been here 15.
It's not about the person, it's about the position.
That's exactly what I'm saying, and the experience in the position.
But it's not about the person. What if there's a new town clerk? That town clerk still has the same duties and responsibilities. And just because they don't have the experience doesn't mean they don't have to do the work. If a new supervisor comes in, it doesn't mean that the job changes. The
That's
question
true.
the question we have to ask ourselves is, does the supervisor do equal amount of work to the highway superintendent, to the town clerk? And the answer is usually yes, if not more. So why should that position be paid less? Take people out of it, but look at the position. And if you
Because the
don't,
town can't afford it.
but here's the option though, is if the town can't afford that 22% increase, then we need another position to be able to do the job. And
You're still making a 22% increase cumulative, even if you do that.
no, but it's significantly more. Bring somebody in at the clerk rate of $16 an hour and a full-time job and then pay them health insurance. Our number one biggest expense here is health insurance. To have somebody that like many of our folks that do double and triple duty is saving the town so much money. And finally, we're paying them a livable wage. When we came in 2 years ago, we're seeing people working their ass
And
off
that's
for
the
$20
end
for
that needs to be
$12.
brought up.
And we did.
That is
We
the
did,
end that
though.
you have, yes.
We did.
That's why I said,
We
I
will
have
not
no
have-
fault to
yeah.
find there.
It's not.
The problem is the sudden gulp of 22%.
Take the
Cut it in half, do something.
so
if you
so
don't
the
wanna
the
come to
supervisor should be
3.2.
paid less than the town clerk.
Yes,
Why? Do they do less work?
I don't know. I don't do the jobs.
Sorry, I disagree.
You don't do them either,
I don't do what?
either of these two jobs. You ever been town clerk? I haven't. You ever been supervisor? I haven't. I'm working on it, but I haven't. And here's another factor, okay? I realized, depending on November 2nd, who sits in this seat. I'm asking for a decrease, not because I'm running for the office, but because it's the right thing to do for the taxpayers.
It is not the right thing to
It
do.
is.
If I can interject, this is for preliminary to send it to the public hearing. The public can speak, the town board can make changes after that. So if the public wants to come out.
Are
and
you
speak,
dismissing me?
I'm not dismissing. you.
Are you dismissing me?
I don't believe so. I'm just saying that this is to send the preliminary budget to public hearing.
Is there more you want to say? I think we
Just the
listened really
same,
well.
the same argument. Well, I thank you so much for that.
Well, thanks for
I'm
bringing
happy
it
you
up, Pete.
did. You know,
But I don't
Um,
believe I was dismissing you. I was stating that this is, resolution is to send this budget to the public hearing, which we have to have by a certain date after.
how many people do you think it would take for this town board? How many people in an assembly would it take for this town board to lower this by half? Would you need 2 rooms full of people? Would you need the firehouse and another room full of people? Would you hear it then?
We can wait for election day.
Yeah.
Then we'll hear it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right,
We're
Chris.
elected.
You're absolutely right.
Mhm.
But is that the time to do it?
I'd make a different point and kind of to the side of what you're talking about, because I understand budget. I think, the budget is going to be obviously in the favor of the taxpayers. I think and for many years, not just this board, but boards before have done a good job keeping the taxes as low as they can while spending what they need to. But think about this just for a second. Do you want somebody that wants this job that can afford to do it for poverty rate? Because I think that only attracts 2 types of people that want to do the
careful.
job.
Mhm.
It only attracts 2
Be
people
careful.
that want to do the job. Is people that can afford to do the job, right? So, somebody that has a great deal of wealth, somebody that's already made their mark on the world, or somebody where that's an appropriate amount of income for them. And if and again, either of those 2, do we want to limit it to those? Why are we eliminating a person that actually needs this job for the income it creates to provide for a family? Why would we eliminate that person from ever seeking this
not.
office?
You're not.
I would never take this job at that pay, ever, ever, ever.
I
It's
don't
too
think-
much work for not nearly enough money. And that's the truth of the zoning board secretary, or the zoning board chairman, and the planning board chairman. God bless them. But like I said, there's people that could be
Thank
really good town supervisors in the future that won't take it because they couldn't support their family to do it. We're eliminating those people from ever considering the job. That's not fair to the town either. So why shouldn't we pay somebody? And no matter who takes it, it's if you ever broke it down by the hour, you'd be making $5 an hour. But why couldn't you pay it a livable wage? Why is that so wrong? And why can't you pay it the same as the other 3 supervisory positions of the town? What's wrong with that? Especially if the budgets, if the taxes are going down this year.
I just think that I feel that the increment is too much. For a 1-year shot.
I appreciate your opinion.
I don't, but anyway.
Is there any, when the discussion, because when we had this discussion, I support raising the supervisor salary to be more in line with the other full-time elected
I
officials.
heard the discussion.
And I go by the New York State town law section of the description of a supervisor. In there's nowhere that it says it's a full or part-time position.
That's correct.
And we don't have a job description that I know of on file of what a supervisor is.
There
It
is
is-
no job
there is
descriptions
no
for
job
elected officials.
There is no job.
So-
It's what you.
They are exempt, so there is no job descriptions. But within town law, there are the jobs that the supervisor does.
Yes,
And this board, every year at the organizational meeting, delegates the administration of the day-to-day activities to the supervisor. If somebody else wants to take that on, then that's fine.
The day-to-day activities, though, doesn't pertain to planning board, which has been taken on somewhat at some point. It doesn't mean that the recreation department needs someone overseeing them. It doesn't mean that many departments need the supervisor overseeing them. They have their own abilities.
That's not true, though. The reason we put managers in place is because if we didn't need managers and supervisors, everybody would just report to the governor.
Managers is
Supervisors.
correct, or department heads,
Yeah.
as you.
Supervisory employees.
That is
Department
correct.
heads are 4 people.
Correct, but they could be more if it were written so. And therefore take less from the supervisor.
I'm sorry. I missed
Lessening the
that.
time frame. If you
So-
had department heads.
So if I
for
may,
each
here's the
department-
resolution that has been adopted every year since long before I was. in office. This is word for word pursuant to Town Law Article 3, Section 22916. The town board hereby authorizes and delegates to the town supervisor the powers and duties of day-to-day administration and supervision of all town and special improvement district facilities and employees, consistent with and in furtherance of any and all county, state, and federal laws applicable thereto, and with any and all collective bargaining agreements, local laws, resolutions, or policies heretofore or hereafter adopted by this council.
And every one of them before you start.
I appreciate the help, and that's what I was gonna say.
Can you
Everyone-
repeat it, Pete?
Before you has done this job as a part-time job. Bob Lofeld worked the job, and this is a million years ago, I know, worked this job after his paying full-time job.
Is that what you'd like to see for the town?
Bob,
Why you bringing it up?
I am bringing it up to make a point, Chris. It has nothing to do with what I want at this time. I'm looking out for the taxpayer.
So that was a part-time supervisor?
That was a part-time supervisor. Going forward, Carl Chipman took it on as a job every day and lived off of it in the time frame of today. Correct?
It was my understanding that it was still considered a part-time job. when
And
Chapman
it
ran.
still is today. The only people saying it's not is 3 people sit for. 4 people sitting here at this table.
But I think we'd have to agree that the tax base has got bigger, the budget has got bigger, the departments have got bigger, the population of the town has got bigger, the size of the government has got bigger. I mean, we have to change and adapt to what's around us.
The employees haven't increased.
We don't have
No, they have.
a code enforcement office that went from one
From
person to
2
the
to 4
secretary.
after requesting it for a very long time, yes. In that instance, they have increased.
More clerks and more
We have a 3rd deputy clerk, which we have not had for a long time.
Who
different new departments.
splits with the highway,
No, that's the 2nd deputy clerk.
whoever.
But again, the point being is that the town is that the entire town is getting bigger. You can't deny that the duties and responsibilities of the job, just the laws, the procedures,
Have they changed that much, Adam? Do you really believe that the laws change daily? I know under Cuomo, mandates came down every 2 days, but
Well, everything from legal compliance to HR compliance to all these
legal
things,
compliance is why we pay.
but you
very
still have to interact with this person. It's not like there's less legal things to do.
They-
There's more.
These other people did as well.
You're comparing apples and apples
I'm
to
comparing
oranges.
supervisors to supervisors.
You're comparing a smaller town to a larger town. You're also saying what's happening now. You're not looking what's happening a year from now, 5 years and 10 years from now.
But then pay them that 5 and 10 years from now, not now.
But
Don't prepay. Pay it at the time.
you get what you pay for though,
Split
too,
the
big.
difference
And
with me.
you said that to me many times. You get what you pay for.
You do get what you pay for.
Okay,
but in
well,
this instance-
we've been very fortunate, almost lucky, almost blessed that people will do many of the jobs around here for what we pay them for. You know, I don't want to rely on luck. Can we please pay somebody a livable wage to do a very big job? Please.
11%.
I'm not negotiating. I got to be honest with you.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm,
It's an equal job for an equal pay. And like I said,
it's what the person makes of the job too, Adam. It's what the person makes of the job. If you're in charge of people and you can trust them to do the job, you don't have to watch over them every minute of the day, which uses up time.
It's not necessarily true. Reasons why people do jobs, any job. One is for monetary gain, 2 is for recognition, and 3 is for accountability. Over the course of a large group of people, those things are divided equally. You're gonna spend a third of your time, get people to do what they need to do for praise.
You know what I find amusing about this whole discussion?
What's that?
You're defending him. He's not even opening his mouth.
What?
Because he
And-
doesn't
and
have to.
that-
Why would he?
We were here at every meeting for months and you
That's
couldn't
what
make
you're-
it be.
I'm gonna tell you
And we would have
something.
worked this out when
Do
I
you
took
know
my
the
time to
difference
be here
between
those
you
nights.
sitting here and me sitting here
Tell
is
me.
life and death of people I cared about.
I don't understand.
No, you wouldn't. If someone died, you'd probably come to a meeting.
Maybe.
Yeah. And that's good?
No.
You're damn straight it's not good. Right now, I've got one of my long life friends, husband in a hospital, who hasn't been able to be released, and I'm sitting here instead of sitting at her house comforting her. Because you know what? I've got more compassion in my pinky than this freaking whole board has gotten all their bodies.
Thank you for the condolences too for my aunt that passed away on Monday.
Yeah.
I'm very sorry that she
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
My dad just got out of the hospital.
So, like I said,
Well,
If you want to sit at meetings and be here instead of being with the people you care about, that's your choice. But I have the same choice. And the fact is, for somebody who's so technologically challenged that they can't possibly get a computer to show them a meeting on Zoom, I pretty well caught up to date. Because even a monkey can be taught to turn off and on a computer and
would somebody
program
like
it,
to
and
make
I'm
a
a little
resolution
higher than a
for
monkey.
this public hearing? We've already set the public hearing. It's just a matter of 40. This is the budget.
Go vote, because I'm gonna vote for the 11%, and that's the way I'm gonna go.
I'll make that resolution as stated.
I'll second.
So it's for this amount, which is a 2.735 tax decrease. And, I will submit this to the town for tomorrow.
There's no
Actually,
vote?
tonight. There will be a vote. I was clarifying what the vote is on. Thank you. Please call a roll call vote.
Councilwoman Allen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hogan Depew,
No, because I asked for the supervisor to take 11% instead of 22 or 23.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye.
Motion to adjourn? What's the time?
Second. In favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.